Well, that's all I can fit in this trip. I've cleared up the yard some. Next trip I'll clear it up some more. Anyway, so this time of year we're just packing up the food, giving it to them at a pace at which, as the brood emerges in the brood chamber, they can backfill. They'll only take it at a certain pace, and that'll depend on how much space there is, how many bees there are, and the ambient temperatures. If you've got too few bees, they can't fill very quickly. If you've got too cold temperatures, they won't fill very quickly. And if they've got no space, they can't fill anything. So gradually the process takes place. That's why it takes usually a minimum of 3 weeks to get that winter feed in. As the brood emerges, they backfill. And so by the end of middle of October, maybe third week of October, depending where we are, at least here in Maine, we want it down to maybe no more than a softball sized cluster of brood in there, but that'll depend on the temperatures. It looks like in another week we're going to have warm temperatures again, so it'll all depend on various circumstances. So when people ask for how much should I feed, that totally depends on your hive. If your hive has a lot of space in there and a lot of bees and they need more food, you keep on feeding. Basically, you need to have if you've got an upper brood chamber, that wants to be full. The lower brood chamber by default wants to be about half full. It's a good rule of thumb. If you're looking at weight for a single brood chamber colony, the weight of the colony wants to be about 95 pounds. So that's including perhaps the lid and the super, not necessarily the bottom. So that's roughly 80 pounds of food in there. If you're talking about a 5-frame nuke, they want to have weigh about 50 pounds. That's going to be about 45 pounds of food in there. And if you've got a double deep, you're probably talking 100 to 120 pounds overall food stores. So it really does vary. The larger the hive you have, the more room there is to have food in there. And generally speaking, the larger the cluster the bees are trying to overwinter in there. The bees seem to govern their cluster size according to the space they've got. There are a lot of other variables in that as well, working on the assumption that they're as healthy as they can be. And that depends on how you did with your mite treatments earlier on in the year. Anyway, that's it for this yard for about 4 or 5 days. I'll come back and feed them again. Time to mix up some more sugar and get it into the other hives. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. See you next time.